Listen, you guys are a serious crew. Like, we're not serious. We don't like. You guys came in with the big black trench coats.
I need a sound check from them. You're good, Alex.
Okay, sorry.
It's called style.
Oh. We don't have that here in Brooklyn or in America. We're just.
I mean, there's elegance, there's personality,
there's history,
there's different keywords, Alex.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to
closer,
learn.
Closer?
I'm trying to learn.
Wait,
I'm trying to learn from you guys.
Yeah, I can give you a hand.
No, but can you rotate?
Turn.
You are the shirt expert. So.
I should have. I'm in a sweaty panic because I started setting them up.
Okay.
No, don't break it. Don't break it.
It's okay. Just take your time, honey.
Oh.
Damn, she just called you honey. You just got honeyed.
You know what? Sarah. Table's got to turn. Okay.
Damn. Wedge is coming in here hot. How old are you guys?
That's NDA.
Oh man, this is good. I like this one. This is fun.
He's feeling it out, you know.
No, yeah. I mean, we've hung out before, but I didn't know what kind of energy you guys were going to come with.
This is intimate.
Sarah too.
No, that's why
it's a different flavor.
It's a contrast.
No, I know you guys.
Everything's a contrast.
Okay,
right?
That's the title of the episode. Everything is a contrast.
Yes, quote me on that.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, I hear it. It's going. Damn, why is that arm so shaky? Mine's so rigid. Contrast.
Oh, he's doing his best.
Yeah,
it's good.
I think you really did a great setup.
I don't think so, but it's
okay. 3, 2, 1. Kevin.
Are we doing an intro this time?
We are live and in effect. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, we got new shores. They look interesting.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Oh, you're on an old school mic though. Look at you. You got the old mic. Oh no, I woke Luca up.
Should not have clapped, Alex.
Sorry.
He's good. He's
sorry.
good.
First time ever baby on the pod.
Yeah, we got a baby on the podcast because we got two special guests. Wedge is a brand and design studio from Montreal, Canada, and now LA and maybe Brooklyn that builds brands with distinct brand signatures for the world that we live in, guided by the core belief that everything can be special. Wedge has earned global recognition, winning Studio of the Year at the Dieline 2 straight years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Accolades from D&AD, ADC New York, and many, many more. Partnered with founders like Matty Matheson and Blake Lively and built iconic brands, including Vacation Sunscreen, one of my favorites, Paro, and rebrands for icons like Canada Dry and Mott. There aren't many agencies that do work where I constantly feel instant jealousy and think, God damn it, I wish I had done that. This is so damn good. Welcome to the show, Justin and Sarah, co-founders of Wedge.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, Luca is the baby.
He's good.
Breaking ground here, the first baby on the podcast.
5 months fresh.
That's a very fresh baby.
Yeah.
Kevin? Yeah. Luca?
Yeah, what do you have to say?
What do you have to say? Nothing. Well,
not yet.
Well, thank you for being here. It's great to have you. And yes, honestly, you guys do, just some of my absolute favorite work. And we're super glad to have you here. The first question I have you guys, you make everything look so easy. Is everything as easy as it looks?
Simplexity is very hard to achieve, Alex.
Simplicity or
Simplexity?
Okay. What the hell is simplexity?
You know, it takes a lot of hard work to make something look so simple.
You got a trademark on that?
Yeah. Where you
I could call the lawyer.
Words?
I could call the lawyer.
You should.
You guys got lawyers at Wedge?
We should ask our trademark lawyer. That's it's in the pipeline. Yeah. We have a few.
Yeah. What else? Yeah. You guys have a lot of things on your website that I've just was kind of going through here, talking about philosophy. Everything can be special. If everything is special, is nothing special?
It's more about, I think, seeing the world with optimism.
Oh, so I just saw it with pessimism.
You saw it with pessimism. Fuck. But that's okay. We can open your mind right here, right now.
It's a state of mind. No, everything can be special. We're special. That's what my mom tells me. And
you can be a special snowflake if
right.
you think that about yourself.
That's right.
Yes.
That's true. You guys we're millennials, right? Everyone can be special. Everyone deserves a trophy.
Yes.
And they have that in Canada too.
It's a global phenomenon.
But I think to work with Justin is sort of like, I always compare him to Mickey Mouse in Fantasia.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the guy with the wand, brings the magic around him and can make seemingly unsexy product or brand really exciting and motivating to the team. So really at the core of Everything Can Be Special is that sort of optimism and excitement that he's really great at pulling out of people.
But I would say something when I started like Wedge almost a decade ago now.
Yeah,
2016.
Oh, come on up.
We're going to do a party.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to have a party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll do a special 10 years.
I'll be waiting
We'll
for
be
the
back.
invitation.
We'll be back.
Okay, yeah.
But I remember at the time, like the exciting thing was always to do like, you know, like the very cool museum. Sure. Just like always those very, very edgy or cool or cultural projects. I remember it was something I really aspired to do, but I started just shifting the mindset, and I was like, oh, what if I actually work with founders? What if I actually look into things that people may not see exciting at first glance? And I think this is how even packaging or CPG entered our world. Like it was, you know, getting into a few first beers, a few first products, and I was like, wow, that's actually so cool. Like it's almost untapped potential. Yeah. And like, why are we not excited by that? And I think it happened to be the start of, I mean, this industry bloomed over the last couple of years.
It's funny. I was talking to Debbie Millman once, and she, obviously veteran, legend, goat of the industry. She told me that once she was judging an award show for design, and they said, good design does not live in the supermarket. And that was sort of the philosophy back then of like, it's just not a place where good design ever exists. And obviously over the last 10, 15 years, that has dramatically changed. I think that's what our studios share, is that sort of love of doing work that lives on shelves in bodegas and supermarkets, and making it beautiful and making it aspirational and making it special.
I love the everyday objects that live with people. There's an intimacy there.
So Justin, you said when I started Wedge. So you started Wedge 10 years ago. When did Sarah jump into the fray?
We met in 2017.
Okay. So you had started the studio.
Yes. I was coming out of a studio I was a part of based in Copenhagen called Barkas. Okay. They're doing incredible work.
Shout out to Barkas.
Shout out to Barkas. Love you guys. And it was a time that I was actually thinking about leaving the city to move to New York. So Justin and I met. I was doing consulting at that time, mostly strategy. I needed really great design. So I brought Wedge on some of my projects, and we just started working together.
Clients.
The first credit is Wedge plus Sarah.
So take me back to that moment. Is Wedge, Justin, and
he had a team.
One person,
like
two people, three people.
Like,
how did it start?
It started with a project. I remember, I mean, I'm from Montreal originally. I grew up in the area, and I think I was like, do I go to New York? Do I go to London? And I felt there was something special also in Montreal with it's such a creative city. And so I just thought to myself, like, there's no place I really want to work. So why don't I just actually build my own world? And so I had to pick a name. I was reading a book about Patagonia. He named it Patagonia after a trip. So I was like, oh, actually, my best trip was Wedge Mount, a glacier on the West Coast. As a French Canadian, I don't think even it was not strategic. Yeah. Now people are like, wow, very, very strategic name. I was like, no. But it was a good
mountain.
name.
It's a mountain.
I knew it had to be memorable. And I think that sounded really great. And I think that was just the beginning. You know, I started the company like that, had a few folks, and then we met.
We did a few projects, and then we put doing the projects on ice because the love thing happened. You know, we don't want to mix
tell because
biz and pledge.
You have a child.
Yeah,
we do.
So there's
yeah.
After you guys kicked off the love thing, you stopped working together.
We stopped working together. We paused it.
Wow.
And then when it was a real thing, we started the work thing back up again. And by January 2018, we were 50-50 partners running the studio together.
Wow.
So it was Justin's background in core design, my background in brand narrative, the two worlds kind of coming together to build what we know as Wedge today.
Got it. Yeah, that's really when it starts taking flight. I could, you know, I see what happened here. Sarah came in and she's like, all right, there's a lot we could do with this. And
thank God Sarah joined too, because we were very complimentary.
Hey.
Sarah's like, "When's your next presentation?" I'm like, "When the design is good enough."
That's a great strategy. Listen, if you can get away with that,
I was like, we need a timeline, boo. We got to keep this shit running.
How do the clients feel about this?
But this is how I approached work when I started. I was like, well, I just really want to do great work at all costs. It was like the most important thing when we begin. Even like beyond financials, I was like, I think we have to take the space to experiment and get the work in a really special place. And obviously the fire broth was great because you need it. But it was like this combination that happened very organically. You know, like we shared our mutual decks, like projects presentation. Mine was just like 10 pages of design. and
I was like, where's the story?
Yeah.
Where's the storytelling? And then conversly, he would look at mine and be like, these are so fucking ugly. And I'm like, it's strat. It's just the goods got to be there. It ain't got to be pretty.
You guys describe the process as cultural foraging.
That's trademark.
That's trademark.
That is trademark.
That's actually trademark.
That is actually trademark.
Wow. That's so. That's
awesome.
It's a great term. Can we unpack it? What now that you have it trademarked, t-shirts and sweatshirts on the way. What is cultural foraging?
Justin's a big hospitality guy.
Okay.
He's very inspired by chefs.
Okay.
And so cultural foraging was actually inspired by, or the idea, which he will explain to you, was inspired by Rene Redzepi, the founder of Noma. Justin, take it away.
Well, I used to and still am obsessed with the world of restaurants.
Okay.
I don't know. Hospitality is impressive. And yeah, like when I started the studio, I was really into the stories of Rene Redzepi from Noma, who literally challenged an entire cuisine, like the Nordic cuisine. He's known as the father of it. And I think one thing that was so special in what he did was to literally forage ingredients that other countries also didn't have, or just like bring novelty in how to do the Nordic cuisine. And I think when we start thinking of our work at Wedge and the research we would do and the inspiration we would pull, well, it was always like outside the category. And this is why we called it foraging, because we started seeing that great work was always emerging, not within, but outside the category. And so we started coining this term as cultural foraging because we took the time. And when I say time, like to this day, we still take like a solid like 2 weeks on research, if not
2 weeks.
I saw your eyes. We take the time, and I want to say
that's double what we do. 2 weeks. We only get 1 week.
We do some research.
We've been known to do some research.
But I think what's interesting is like, you know, of course, when you work on any project, it's important to look at the immediate category, the competitors, blah, 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 all that stuff. But it becomes really interesting when you look beyond to unlikely sources.
Yes.
And it's that cross-pollination that creates a really interesting tension to create from.
Yeah.
So in our works, we're always looking for like, what is that tension to guide the work, but also rooted in like the strategy and the story that we're trying to express. So cultural foraging is sort of like, you know, Rene goes into the forest and he gets, you know, the mushroom and the herb and the this and the that, and he puts it together and it's this extraordinary dish. It's sort of that idea. And we also very much encourage our team to look at the past as much as the present.
Yeah, we don't chase attention; we chase the attention.
We didn't even look that up either.
Wow, words.
Yeah. That's what Jordan
forged that from our podcast.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Jordan Pori.
I love this co-creation,
the great
guys.
philosopher. You guys should do what like Noma does. They should take half the year off and then do like the other half of the year design. You know, just foraging in the.
I like that. I would do that.
You know,
we're self-funded. We're self-made. You know, I don't got daddy warbucks.
You guys don't have investors? Oh, sorry. Yeah. It couldn't be us. We have plenty of investors here at Center. No, it makes a lot of sense, and certainly I agree with you. Right, you have to. Get off the computer, go look at things, go find inspiration outside of looking at other package design. The first time I heard of you guys was for a project that I still love called Drav.
Oh my gosh. And that's when we met.
Yeah. And I remember when I saw it for the first time, I was just like, what is this? And I remember it won a Dieline Award.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then because I'd seen it on the internet and you guys had a really good case study for it. You had like some really cool photos of it being made in like the factory. And then I went to the Dieline Awards And I saw it in person.
Oh yeah.
And I took a picture. This is probably like 10 years ago.
Yes.
Now. Like I took a picture and I was like, from the internet. That's how like to me as a cultural forager. I loved it. And then today, as I was doing research for the show, obviously we do tons of prep. It said it was inspired by The Simpsons. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, there's always this like
cultural foraging.
This idea of like creating something iconic. And yeah, like I think if you look at the shape, like the designer who brought that solution to life at the time was like also like really good at those things. And I think it was like looking into things that are so simple but so impactful.
Yeah, and specifically Homer Simpson's favorite Duff beer.
Yeah.
And I remember
where's Dravman?
Yeah, where's Dravman? But I remember Justin at the time was like, it needs to be as iconic as Duff.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a good example of sometimes you look at TV and cinema, you pick something up, it makes it into the process.
Yeah.
And it has such a funky shape that became sort of an iconic symbol. Yeah. It's still quite fresh to this day.
Yeah, it looks as modern and fresh today as it did 10 years ago, genuinely.
It's crazy. We got such it was the early days of like new breweries. Sure. I remember we got a really good small or medium run of cans. We got the matte coating. And then Sarah was like, let's call this amazing photographer, Alex.
He was just starting his career, mostly doing fashion. Shout out Alex Blouin.
Yeah.
And he said, grab your camera, let's go.
And then, yeah, we showed up on location.
But I think that's another great example of sometimes you, don't hire the photographer that only shoots drinks to do the drink to create a distinct signature for your client. Right? That's another good example of tension. So sometimes, like for him, it's like bring a fashion photographer in to shoot for beer, which wasn't happening at the time. It's more common now.
Yeah.
But I think that adds to, the world that we were building. And
yeah, it felt very real and high flash, and it felt very
American Apparel.
Yeah, no, it had an energy to it. And I remember that project. And it's still, like you said, feels fresh and modern. And so from there, is that like the first like hit project that you guys have? Like, is that the thing that kind of?
I think so. That
kind of went from there. I mean, with the same group, we jumped into industrial design and we did a very high end spirits company.
Okay. Yes.
Minnow. But I don't know. It just sort of like, you kind of organically get the ball rolling from there.
Yeah. I would say so. Because I think when we started, we gave ourselves the space to figure out what felt exciting and experimenting the types of projects. I always say that also to younger designer. I'm like, there's so many things you got to try. And then at some point, a few things feels right. But yeah, I remember seeing those cans like crushed in the street and being like, well, I love the unpretentiousness of a design that lives in the world.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I always say I just like stuff. I like making things and putting it out into the world. And if it's digital stuff, I'm less connected to it. I like being able to put it on the shelf. I like being able to hold it. I like seeing other people hold it. And I think to me, that's it's something unique to the work that we do. It's like you get to see people interact with it and they share it or they post it or they bring it to a party and they live with it and then they throw it out, which always makes me a little sad, but that's the point, right? It's to consume. Another project also that I really love is Swirl, the ice cream brand. I think that was like on like, I've seen so many imitators of
oh my goodness.
Swirl and ice cream. But yeah, talk to me about that project. That was also feels like probably what?
That was one of the early ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a founder-led plant-based ice cream company. Now there's 1 million of them. But it was sort of like one of 5 at the time, I guess you could say. And I think what was really interesting about the founders is that they're really inspired by streetwear culture. And so when you look at the design of Swirl, you can really feel that. They were like wearing Supreme and all of these brands that had like a very iconic logo. So we were like, we need to give it that same bold impact. So borrowing from the category of streetwear, street culture, bringing it into plant-based ice cream where the strategy was very much, it just so happens to be, you're going to pay a little bit more. It's an elevated experience. So again, that's another example where we treated it a little bit more like fashion.
Yeah. And they were doing drops because they were not in groceries yet. So basically we had the permission to do like the coolest tub.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not
without
be
too much regulatory. And then we used those stickers on top. And I was like, oh, let's push for black and white. I remember that was the debate. And then I was like, no, I think it's going to be even more cool to not be a flavor forward brand
Mhm.
because they have the permission to do that.
Sure. And probably some limitations of like how many different containers they could do, which is sometimes great, right?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we have to figure out a solution here. I always tell a story about United Sodas, like the box, the first box we ever did for the multi-pack had a rainbow design on the top, and it was pretty cool, but they were like, oh, we can't print this many colors. And so then the outer box became just black and white and made the whole packaging 10 times better just because you open it up and you get the sort of rainbow experience on the inside. So yeah, Swirl with those sort of individual ice cream flavors and sort of the not sort of needing to think about regulatory net
Those were simpler days, Alex. I think back and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like that was 20 years
Decades ago.
Yeah, but it wasn't. Time does this funny thing, right?
Yeah.
What's also interesting with those projects is, Swirl as a business did not necessarily scale. Like it was not like to compare it to a Kratza success in terms of like what the founders decided to do with distribution. So it's also interesting because like, oh, you could have, if Swirl had been distributed at a scale, it would have been like a different.
But it's funny because I was getting emails from Erewhon.
Yeah.
I was getting emails from buyers.
Yeah.
Sure.
Asking to,
oh my God,
sell this thing.
Yeah.
And so then at some point I said to Swirl, we should be business partners and I will help you like scale this thing. I was like, I'll drop money into the company. Let's do it. But it wasn't their ambition.
They should have taken you up on that. Yeah. I sometimes get LinkedIn messages from people. They're like, oh, we want to put Bureau or United Sodas. And you're like, I'm not that guy. Like you got the wrong person here. But no, those two projects, you're right. Like they, in my mind, I think that was the first time I'd heard of you guys and seen the work. And I just remember feeling like it was so fresh. And yeah, now a lot has changed. You have a child, you have a house. Can we talk about Wedge House?
Yeah.
Is this so it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
And how long have you been working out of this house, Wedge House?
A year and a half?
Almost 2 years. Yeah. We're
okay.
A year and a half. Yeah.
And so take me through the process. What made you want to get a home and make it an office? And do you guys sleep there? Does Luca have a room there?
Yeah, first answer. We do not live at Wedge House.
We do not live at Wedge House.
You guys,
Does anyone live at Wedge House?
No, it's the studio. But essentially, as the story goes, COVID happened. Remember that?
COVID-19?
COVID-19.
Okay, yeah.
And I said to Justin, I was like, we were in the same loft that Wedge had started in, but I felt like the company had it wasn't the same as when we started in the garage. So I said to him, I was
you guys started in a garage, sorry.
No, but like a loft. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, you start in the garage and it's like you have that energy, but then
I couldn't picture you guys in a garage.
I would say it was a similar like corridor like here where like numbers are not adding up from one door to another.
Yeah. And the company was just evolving. I was like, it's just not the energy anymore. I feel like the energy of this is maybe holding us back. And so we started looking at different spaces and going checking stuff out. And then, Justin was like, Sarah, just take a piece of paper and draw what you imagine. And I'm very pragmatic. I'm like, well, what's my budget? And he's like, don't think about anything. Just like take a pencil and draw. So, I had this piece of paper. I drew a little house with an arched door, with a yard, with a tree. And I was like, oh, it's Wedge House. And one day Justin was scrolling through real estate listings, as he really likes to do. And he found my drawing. It had the same arched door and there was only one picture of the front facade. So, it was like probably a shitbox inside. It was a smasheroo. But we went there, we saw it, we put in an offer, we got it. Yeah. It all happened in the same day.
That's how crazy we are.
Yeah.
I called our agent at 9. Yeah. At noon we visited. At 4:30 it was ours.
Wow. Yeah.
Once you make
we're pretty decisive.
Yeah. It was like it took us like
maybe we should have thought about it more.
Yeah. No, I like it. No. Yeah, it felt right.
But it was a total gutter.
Drawing.
Yeah. It was a total gutter.
Okay.
And so Justin and I, we love to spend a lot of time in Copenhagen. We usually go once a year. And so a lot of the spaces that we love there, like Apollo Bar and, cafeteria at the SMK Museum, all of these spaces, we sort of, embedded those inspirations into Wedge House. So yeah, you have a garden and a kitchen with a 12-foot long table.
My God.
And
what do you do there?
Open the windows in the atelier and we hear the birds.
Meetings.
What do you got going in that garden?
Yeah. Well, anything
I planted
growing?
a lot of native plants.
Very nice.
I'm really into gardening, guys.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's rewarding. You plant the seed, you see it grow, you tend to the garden.
Because one thing that I saw happening with every party at design studios I used to go to, because we love hosting parties in our studios because we love our studios. But I was like, we're always drinking beer around the computers. And I thought to myself, we should host more events. We should do more collaborations and parties and stuff. But I think like doing it in a house context with the yard is going to be, and literally a door that's on the street. This is Luca.
Luca is joining the podcast. Luca got excited about Wedge House.
So we divided the house into we call it the atelier, which is the working space, similar to here on the second floor. And then the ground floor has, some sort of conference room, meeting room, the library. And then there's this huge kitchen in the backyard. So it's nice because we can have life at Wedge and then you can also work at Wedge, but they're also living separately.
Wow. Sounds really beautiful.
It's really nice.
Do the designers just hang out? Like, how do you get them to do work? It sounds like such a lovely place just to live and, check out, drink beers and eat lunch and, plans.
We love our wine. I think we're more of a wine culture.
That's fair. Okay.
I feel like, every culture is different. Sometimes it's more intense parties. We're more like apéro in the backyard.
And the space is designed with somatics. So if you think of a traditional design studio, you walk in the very, very white walls. Ours are slightly warmer. There's fabric hanging. Everything feels really soft. So these design decisions also are there to incite focus. Oh,
nice.
Luca wants to talk.
Luca, come
Interlude.
on the pod. Well, it sounds wonderful. And definitely seen a bit of a trend a little bit in sort of America, more in LA, where companies there's space for homes and offices that aren't just boxes in giant, sort of retail buildings. But what a dream to be able to go to a space that is, your own and your own world. Talk about brand world, right? It's your own world.
Wedge world.
Wedge world.
That's right.
But we wanted it to feel like almost if we had a store, what would it feel like? At least that was our first iteration.
I'm glad we didn't do that.
No. But it also felt like after working from home, we wanted a space that would feel so nice to be in. Like the floors, the stairs set, the walls. So even the natural light or the dim light at night. So
how often are you guys in the office? Is this every day or?
Every day.
Every day.
We're there every day.
I love being there.
Me too. I'm a workaholic. I'll just say it. But no, I like having a space that you go to and that is separated from my home.
Yes.
So it probably would be great to live there. That separation is important. But it's a beautiful space, and I think it's something. Do you have an LA office, or is that just people that work in LA?
We had people that worked in LA, mostly doing development over there.
Okay.
And then it sort of evolves over time, but we ended up. There's something about us in California. We have a lot of clients in California, especially San Diego.
Okay.
Brahmi's there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Skincare companies, oral wellness companies, lots of different folks. For some reason, it's sort of stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question for you guys as lovers and coworkers. How does, do you guys have a sort of how do you separate Wedge and life?
Such a great question.
Because I ask this of any founders that I meet that are real life couples.
Yeah.
Because to me, that seems like the most impressive thing on planet Earth is to turn it off, because it's so hard to turn off.
I used to, if I'm being really honest, I used to struggle with answering that question.
Yeah.
Because it's the word separate that I thought I had to do. I have to separate this. There has to be a very clear line.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, I just really embraced the mentality of water. It flows like water. And sometimes we talk about it more. Sometimes we talk about it less. And this is just our life and our sort of lifestyle. And it's when I made that mental switch, the anxiety went away. So I think like just embracing it like water and it ebbs and flows.
Be as
but
water,
sometimes, you know, you just say, hey, that can wait till tomorrow.
Well, like everything, you guys make it look very easy. You're like, just be like water, you know? But
so you do the work to get there.
I agree with you, though, because I have often pushed up against this idea of work-life balance because it does imply that there's separation or there's two sides to the coin, and there's the work side and there's the life side. This, unfortunately and fortunately, is my life. And so I think you're right that like if you try to separate them and try to think of them as two sides of a coin, then maybe you're going to struggle to find that balance.
It's just like, how can we remove the friction?
Yeah.
So even sometimes like in a studio world, even with your team, you have to go a little harder sometimes. But then you just like take a Friday off, you know? So
we go hard every day here. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, gotta meditate, Alex.
Alex is not heading towards a 4-day work week. I'm so sorry.
You guys have a 4-day work week?
No. But
I aspire to that.
Yeah,
I would. It would make me happy to be able to give that to my team if we could crack the ops on that.
We've tried Friday afternoons during the summer Friday.
That's what we do as well. Yeah.
That's already better.
I'm glad they didn't say yes though, because Gander was here and
they were flexing.
They were flexing, and I was like, "Shut up! Don't tell them. Stop. You know, the people, my employees can hear you. They're right here." And then, no, I would love to give that to my team as well. Unfortunately, we gotta fucking crush it every goddamn day. You know?
But
days
I will
off.
say, you talk about effortless, and it is really a lot. Like things don't happen by magic, and I think like.
Sarah said you were a magician, though, you know? Just
Mickey Mouse. He's working hard.
She sold me on that.
But I think that's the thing. It's like it's actually so much hard work to get to such like effortless work. So many tests, so many things, and across the whole team. You know, like it is a sports team metaphor. Like it's I think like as a group, this is like literally a group effort towards those things. And it looks so easy at the end, but it's like, it's a group effort between us, between our client, between, you know, like,
and also like the unsung heroes, which is like account teams.
Yeah.
I feel like designers get a lot of the celebration, but like everyone plays a role, you know? So especially when these like complex systems get awarded or even see the light of day, it's like, wow, there was a lot of management that went behind that to make it happen.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think process, account management, you know, sort of the flow is, it's funny when you look at sort of agencies, design studios, and you sort of see that sometimes there are more people that work not on design or don't have design titles, and people are often confused by that. It's because making projects go smoothly, making things move
it's so complex.
It's so complex.
And I've always aspired to do the restaurant metaphor of hospitality, but the complexity of projects we run now, they last for, I don't know, months, if not years now.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Luca.
Oh, it's Luca. Welcome.
Luca, welcome to the podcast. Luca is 5.5 months old and you know, got a great body of design work. Luca, talk to us for a second.
Baby on the pod.
Baby.
Oh, I really reacted to your voice there.
So, sorry, I got distracted by a very cute baby. So fast forward, you know, to today, you guys have some obviously amazing projects. We don't need to talk about all of them, but I want to talk about Matty Matheson.
Yeah.
Because Matheson Food Co., what a beautiful brand. Congratulations on
the
awards. What was like working with Matty? Luca?
Comments. You want to take it off?
Matty is, I will say, he's a vision guy. Like he knows what he likes, but he is able to articulate it. And that makes the difference. So what I loved about working with Matty is that he's able to tell a story, bring you on for the ride, and then makes it our job to like just translate that through design. So it was really interesting. Like when we came around the table and he's like, oh, I have this idea for Matheson Food Company. And the obvious question to ask is like, Oh, he's bringing the
That's
mic
better.
closer.
Yeah, that's good work, Luca.
You know, smarter than mom. Smarter than mom.
We had to produce.
You know, the obvious question to ask is like, do you want this brand associated with the man?
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, I want it actually to outlive me.
Yeah.
Like, I understand I might have to be involved in like the launch of this thing, but it's, you know, I'm not a caricature or like attached to it forever.
Yeah.
And when he was a kid, you know, he grew up on the East Coast of Canada, a humble family. His mom always had Hereford corned beef in the pantry.
Okay.
It was something he ate all the time. And so I remember in our design workshop, we pulled it up and we were discussing it. And it was this like striped packaging. It's, if you know Matty's world, it's very primary colored, very straightforward. And so, you know, it's just like he has a great eye, great taste, and we were able to work very, very closely together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we just translated it and it went super, super smooth. And, you know, Matty has a very distinct voice, the way he speaks.
Sure.
So his voice became the brand voice, you know, which is fun and alive and playful. And, you know, sometimes he would take these presentations from the set of The Bear. He's like in the trailer in a car or something.
Yeah.
But he made the time to
Sure.
like show up and not only send his people. And so I think it did make the difference for him to sit around the table with us. And he would end every conversation with like a gratitude moment.
Oh, I love that.
Oh.
You know, kind of like a coach. He's like,
Yeah.
you're here and I'm here and isn't that great? And I'm thankful and you work hard and I work hard and we work hard together and it's just the start and it's going to go into something greater and it's going to build and we're going to learn and we're going to test and we're going to learn and we might fail, but then we'll learn and then we'll do even greater. And it was this energy that was so fun to work around.
Nice.
And so it started with the sauces and dressings. And then, you know, the Mac came along and right away he's like, I want it to be like this, not like that. Here's a reference that I have in mind. But he's also open to what we think.
Yeah, I would say like it's also one of those processes where the flow, you know, like you can get caught in rounds of revisions sometimes.
Never us. Never once.
Never.
One round, knock it out, done. You know, ship it.
I think like we really, and I think that's something I don't know what's the right word. I don't think it's empathy. I think it's just like hearing, trying to understand.
Yeah.
But we really worked this way with Matty. Like he had a vision, he had something in mind, but it's like, how do you translate that and do it your way?
Yeah.
But I think we did that so well in the sense that, I don't know, his team was like, okay, it's not, sometimes it can be like challenging some designers in the past. And then
Sure.
I think the process we did was, I was like, I really want to understand. And I would say like every single presentation we've presented work that was produced like 95% as presented the first time.
Really?
95%.
Yeah.
Exploration, presentation, final pack, similar.
Yeah.
Well, because he was also so decisive. He's just like, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing when you work with people that have vision, good taste, you know, it can be inspiring and also motivating. I think that's something that oftentimes, founders like, you know, they have to, or, you know, well, the work we do is so much inspired by them and sort of bringing their vision and ideas to life. And I think the best work that we've done is when that person comes in with something really that inspires us and that we just, like you said, translate kind of what they want and bring our own ideas. But it's not just, hey, you guys are the designers, go make us a brand.
No, and I think there's a misconception in our industry of that. And I think
agree.
like clients don't get enough credit because I think more than half the projects we've done came from a vision. That's also why people start a business in the first place.
And it might not be a visual vision.
Yeah.
You know?
But words were sort of a feeling and they communicate
We
that.
say it always comes from the top. There's always a nugget.
Yeah.
But we worked on recently on one where it was the opposite, and it was like, and it's interesting because it had been so much more challenging because it actually was like a empty box almost, or it was harder. So yeah, it's interesting. There's like really two camps of
I agree.
projects.
Yeah, it's so hard when you have an empty box, right? And I think those are the hardest projects.
Like
in my mind.
we've worked with. I mean, I enjoyed the process with Blake in many ways on her hair
Blake
care
Lively,
line. Blake Lively had like a very
She
strong
loved
vision.
Justin.
Huh?
She loved Justin.
Really?
But she was clear.
Yeah.
And I think
it's okay.
like,
We're an anti-Ryan Reynolds podcast. We can get into it.
He's Canadian.
No,
Well,
sorry.
you can get blocked by every account.
Yeah, I
you need to work on your
sorry.
lovability.
Sorry.
Wait, have you collaborated with this ad agency?
Yeah. Have you worked with Ryan?
No, we work. It was like basically. I mean, I think
They brought us in to work on Blake Brown Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the packaging was already done. Blake had designed that with her team, and she brought us in to help work on the world around it, the storytelling, things of that nature. Which we're under NDA, so I'm not going to go into detail.
Blake Lively, NDAs. Yeah, no, and that's another beautiful project. And I guess now that you guys have done like a couple celeb brands, or you guys
working on another one.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
celeb brands are a thing, and to be honest, like I do find that they can be very exciting to me. And I think what I've learned through the process of doing them, it allows a brand to be recognized and launched instantly into people's minds, where we would work on a project sometimes in the past and it would sort of slowly roll out, and maybe a retailer pick it up, or maybe it would start to get a couple Instagram followers. When you do these kind of brands, all of a sudden the lights are on and everyone is there and you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. It's a really wonderful thing. Have you guys obviously you guys have worked with big brands, celebrity brands, like, yeah, talk to me about sort of the excitement, I guess, of working on projects that are like, sort of so famous.
Well, I think the notoriety that it will have is an exciting thing.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's also a way to get Wedge out into the world.
Totally.
And that's an exciting thing. Justin, I don't think we don't feel the pressure. Like, what will people say? I think we really believe in our skill sets.
Okay.
In that sense.
Yeah,
from
that
We
perspective.
don't worry.
Yeah,
But
I only feel pressure. That's, I'm scared. And
Shell of a man.
We didn't want to bring
true.
the Alex trauma on the podcast today.
That's
but
true.
We can keep 5 minutes.
I think the pressure is a privilege, though, and it also makes diamonds.
But
So that's
of
my
course. I mean, we do. I'm not gonna play it cool.
I mean,
you guys are like, we don't feel pressure.
So much.
no, but like,
But we care. Like,
I sleep well at night.
Yeah.
They're like water.
They're like water. Kevin.
Wow.
Don't you
Right.
understand, Alex?
I want to be like water. I'm like coffee.
I have some books to recommend.
You need some-
Oh, reading?
Yeah.
I have to read? Oh my God.
But it is like an impressive effect, the celebrity launch, because yes, like it's uncomparable to any brand who does have to work on the PR or marketing, or like these are marketing dollars they don't have to
This
spend.
is the best podcast.
But also, I think it's about every touch point needs to be exquisite in the experience, because you are judged more harshly, and your
course.
client will be. So it's just like, when you go to a restaurant, if they knock it out of the park every single time, but the one time the waiter drops a ball and then you're like, oh, it taints your vision. I think the brand experience really needs to be thought through in those details along the touch points.
Also, people are super critical of celebrity brands.
Absolutely.
I think people are, they start from a place of like, do we need this?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to prove that you do.
Or there's insane fandom and they know what that person who they love feels like.
Yes.
So you're like, you got to bring it to life in a way that's true for them.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it represents them and something that they're proud to be a part of, but also maybe can outlive them, which I also really like.
And I love to ask the question, like, what's your biggest fear?
Mine? Just kidding. Death?
No, but at the start of the project, it's like, what's your biggest, it's just nice to know, like, what are the fears? We can help, like, mitigate them. And
so obviously done so much amazing work and so many amazing brands. Canada Dry. Is that like Mount Rushmore brand opportunities for you guys? Obviously, being Canadians,
great rap.
Is that something that you've always dreamed of as kids?
It's funny. I'm half Italian.
Okay, Domenico, right?
Domenico.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. But I remember my nonna would always water his Christmas trees with like a jug of Canada Dry.
Yeah.
I don't know why Italian
Did it work?
Did it work?
Yeah, it's something about the sugar. I don't know. So when we won it, I thought of my grandfather.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just so cool to work on a product that is at, all of these families occasions across the country that, you drive in the countryside and you find all these ephemeras like in an antiques garage.
Sure.
And to add to that language,
yeah,
I think was really special.
Yeah, it was also like it was the first large scale, like millions.
Yeah, like it's in every store.
And I remember like when we were going on press, I kept asking Sarah, the team, like, this is great, right? This is good, right? I felt, going back to the pressure, like I felt so much pressure of like, are we, like, even though we did testing, we did like every possible thing you can make sure to validate it's going to work out. Even though you do those testing, there's always someone who's going to have doubt in the room. But I think we had a time pressure too, so we had to go and press. And I remember you were on the podcast. It was just before the holiday, and you talked about it when it was launched. You may not remember that. You say,
"What did I say? What did I say?"
We loved it.
Yeah, we liked it, right?
But I remember
you trashed it, and we're here for our revenge.
It's all
just kidding.
We unblocked you.
You loved it.
Really, I think the biggest thing we learned from that case study was that there was beaver anal gland.
That's
in
right.
The old Canada Dry.
Historium.
What?
Yes.
I didn't pay attention to that.
That did not serve us in the cultural foraging portion.
Maybe it wasn't in the case study, but
it's beaver butt juice. I believe that's what we talked about, right, Kevin?
Vice coined it.
Yeah.
Not in front of the baby.
Oh, sorry,
Like,
Luca.
really?
Oh my God, how uncivilized of us. Yeah, Luca, do you want to speak on it? It was a quintessential secret ingredient from Canada Dry's past.
Maybe we didn't learn it from your case study, but we
You went on a deep dive, y'all.
We did.
You
forge
chat
that.
GPT'd that.
Mm-hmm.
That was before ChatGPT.
No,
What's
this
that?
is a big fact.
non-existing.
No, but we did love that brand, and I'm pretty sure we said, "Wow, what an appropriate studio to do it."
Yeah, that's right.
thank
And then
you.
it wasn't until yesterday where I put together Canada Dry and you guys also being Canadian, or the fact that the brand
Yes.
Canada. I'm going to admit this. Kevin said I shouldn't admit this. I never associated Canada Dry with Canada the place.
And you know what's crazy? Okay, this is a story. So we launched it in Canada.
Yes.
And then, hey, if the US team is hearing me right now, like,
Yeah, they're all listening.
that's fine.
Keurig Dr. Pepper.
Correct,
correct?
Dr. Pepper, US, Texas.
Yeah.
You guys felt that was not strong enough. So they challenged it, and they had some, I don't know, God knows news designers who worked on it.
Uh-oh.
And they did their own iteration of it.
Oh wow!
You can go to the bodega and judge for yourself.
Wow.
Oh
wow.
my
But
God.
you know what's cool? I saw a story of Alison Roman, and she actually saw the Canadian cans, and she was posting them a couple months ago. And she's like,
I love you, Allison. Call me.
Yes, yeah.
waiting for my project. But and it's funny because she thought the Canadian one was the old can, and she's like, "Oh, it's so beautiful. Why don't we bring this back?" And I was like,
Got it.
If only
so
you did."
America
It just feels
fucked
right.
it up again.
The nerve to test you guys
Yeah.
on. Yeah, that's insane. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
But I love her reaction
Mm.
where it was like it was new, but she felt like it had always been around.
That's
Which
the
is the
highest
best,
compliment. Yeah.
Yeah,
of
what are you
course.
going for? Timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes try to tell the design team now as a brief, like make it feel like no designer worked on this.
Yeah. No, be like water. No, but that's true because I think in our business, and what I think is really cool and people are starting to sort of catch on to this more, and we're hearing it more from our clients, which is like we don't want it to be trendy. Like we actively want it to be timeless, and that is something that is music to my ears, of course, and trying to create work that, like you said, it feels like it's always been there before. It feels like no one touched it, but yet lots of people touched it for a long time. Yeah. I mean, is that something that you guys as a studio are, thinking about across all your projects? Is that just something that comes naturally to you guys?
Yeah, but I want to address timeless because that's the problem. Nothing is timeless. And I think it's
contextual.
Everything's contextual to culture, to time. So I think we can appreciate things that have a lasting quality. I'm almost sure that, yes, Canada Dry people in 50 years will look at this iteration and actually think it was like a good version because it will change in 20 years and that's normal. So I think like there's a lasting quality of things.
I think we aim for something to be enduring.
Yeah.
And definitely, we don't want to anchor it in trends because that's fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something, I think the memorability, the long lasting, the enduring nature is something we always aim to build. He's just hanging out. He's raving.
Yeah. Luca is
be
dominating this podcast. Before we get you out of here, because obviously Luca is a baby and attention span is low, we like to play a game around here called Mount Rushmore, where you rank. It's unranked 4 things. So the question for you guys: top 4 Mount Rushmore Canadians. Who are they? Who do you got?
People.
Pamela Anderson, number 1.
Pamela Anderson, number 1.
Yeah, very
Love
inspiring
it.
woman.
Yeah. What a legend. I grew up with a Pamela Anderson poster on my childhood bedroom. And that's a real true story.
I think Matty deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore.
Matty
100%.
Matheson.
100%.
1,000% deserves
Okay.
to be
Absolutely.
there. We got Pamela. We got Matty.
Oh my God, I'm not a people person.
Okay.
No, but I was like,
Justin Bieber is
David
on mine.
Suzuki.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if you
true,
know who
that's
he
true.
is, but he's a
I
big
don't.
climate advocate.
Okay.
He's done a lot of. Is that too intellectual?
No, I mean, listen, we don't judge. We listen and we don't
It could
judge.
be the Beebs. I'll throw that in there for you.
Okay, yeah, listen.
Why
He just beat out
not?
Drake and Shawn Mendes.
Why not?
you
Yeah,
know?
Drake's not on my Mount Rushmore.
Wow.
But we
wow.
worked with 40, his producer.
Oh,
Okay, really?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Yeah,
Who
legend
was
of the
amazing.
game.
Oh, I would say like you gotta give Celine Dion.
Yeah.
her place.
Celine.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Bye, David Suzuki. Celine's there.
Oh,
I like how Justin just pulled out his phone
1000%.
to look up Canadians. This is
She's also French Canadian, so shout out Montreal.
That's right.
There we go.
Yes.
My heart will go on.
Well, a legend of the game, and you guys also legends. Thank you guys for coming here. Genuinely huge fans here, and just keep rocking. I guess before we get you out of here, what's on the future, the horizon? Like what's Wedge World? Where are we taking this? Amusement parks, roller coasters, restaurants, physical stores. What's on the horizon? Or just more great design?
I think it's more great design. There's a lot of the works we do. It's like year-long projects. So it takes a long time for it to come out in the real world. But I think what's really exciting is expanding beyond the categories you've seen us play in.
Yeah.
And that's an exciting thing.
Yeah. More of New
Final
York,
words.
maybe in their life. And then I'm always like, I don't know if we end up creating like a brand for an airline company, a transport company. Yeah, transcending a few things. I think we just have the ambition to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
And this is something at all times we
Yeah.
keep doing. So it's just to not, to challenge how far we can go with this.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. And yes, I can relate of trying to transcend categories and bounds because despite how many cans and boxes that we design, we don't want to be put into a box unless it's designed by Wedge and Wedge House. But thank you guys.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Alex.
thanks for coming.